The Walking Dead. Season 5, Episode 1. The Last Lesson. People always think surviving gets easier after a while. Like one day you wake up and suddenly know what you're doing. The truth is, nobody ever figures it out. We just get better at pretending. Ericson was home. It had been home for a long time. Long enough for the walls to feel familiar. Long enough for the faces around me to become family. Long enough to forget what it felt like to keep moving. AJ was 16 by then. Sometimes I'd catch myself looking at him and remembering the little kid who used to hold my hand. Other times I'd look at him and barely recognize him. He spent most of his time outside the walls. Patrolling, hunting, watching the woods. He said it helped him think. Maybe he was telling the truth. Maybe he was just looking for something more. Things at Ericson weren't the same anymore. Food wasn't running out, but it wasn't getting easier to find either. People were tired. Small problems turned into arguments. Arguments turned into grudges. I'd seen it happen before. The dead weren't always the biggest threat. Sometimes people were. Lee taught me that a long time ago. I remember one evening better than the others. The sun was setting behind the trees, and everything looked peaceful. Too peaceful. AJ was sitting on the wall, watching the forest. I used to tell him that silence was dangerous. When the world gets quiet, that's when you should start paying attention. He always rolled his eyes when I said it. That day, he didn't. A scream came from somewhere deep in the woods. Not a walker, a person. I knew the difference. So did AJ. He was off the wall before I could say anything. And for the first time in years, something inside me told me this wasn't going to be another normal day. I wanted to stop him. Part of me still saw the kid I raised. The kid who always ran toward trouble before thinking about it. But AJ wasn't that kid anymore. By the time I reached the gate, he was already gone. The forest was getting darker. The sun was disappearing behind the trees. For a while, everything was quiet again. Just the wind. Just the leaves. Then another scream, closer this time. I remember grabbing my knife before I started running. Something felt wrong. Not Walker wrong, people wrong. The kind of feeling you get when your instincts start warning you before your brain catches up. When I finally found AJ, he wasn't alone. Neither of us said a word. We just stood there, looking. A young girl was sitting against a tree, covered in dirt, covered in blood. Not her blood, someone else's. She couldn't have been older than 14. AJ looked at me, I looked at her, and for a second, I felt like I was looking at myself. She didn't say much on the way back. Not because she couldn't, because she didn't want to. I've met people like that before. People who learn that talking can get you killed. AJ kept trying anyway, asking questions, trying to make her comfortable. She ignored most of them. The only thing she told us was her name, Maya, nothing else. By the time we reached Ericson, the sun was gone. A few people were waiting by the gate. They could tell something was wrong the second they saw us, especially when they saw the blood. Everyone started asking questions. Where did she come from? What happened? Was she alone? Maya never answered. She just kept looking over her shoulder, over and over again, like she expected something to come out of the woods. That night, nobody slept much. Not me, not AJ, and definitely not Maya. Every time I checked on her, she was awake, listening, waiting. Then sometime after midnight, I heard movement outside, not walkers, footsteps. Someone was near the walls. I grabbed my knife and headed for the wall. The moon was bright enough to see the tree line. At first, I thought I imagined it. Then I saw him, a figure standing between the trees, watching us, watching Ericson. He wasn't hiding. He wanted to be seen. The second I stepped forward, he disappeared. No warning, no sound, just gone. When I turned around, AJ was already behind me. I could tell by the look on his face he saw it too. Neither of us slept after that. The next morning, Maya finally spoke. Not much, just enough. She told us she wasn't alone when she entered the forest. There were others, friends, family, people she'd been traveling with for years. Then, one day they disappeared. Not killed, not bitten, taken. I remember thinking how crazy that sounded. Taken by who? She didn't know. Or maybe she didn't want to say. Then she looked at me, and for the first time since we met her, I saw real fear in her eyes. She only said 3 words. "They found me." And suddenly, everything made sense. I wanted to believe she was scared. But fear doesn't always mean someone's telling the truth. I've learned that the hard way. The problem was, AJ believed her. Maybe because he saw someone his own age. Maybe because he remembered what it felt like to be alone. Whatever the reason was, he trusted her. I didn't. Not yet. That afternoon, AJ took Maya to the gardens, showed her around, introduced her to people, tried to make her feel like she belonged. For a few hours, things felt normal again. Then one of our scouts came back early. I knew something was wrong the second I saw him. His face was pale. His hands were shaking. He kept looking over his shoulder, like he expected someone to be standing there. When I asked him what happened, he handed me something. A piece of cloth. Dark gray. Torn from a jacket. At first, it didn't mean anything to me. Then I looked at Maya. The second she saw it, the color disappeared from her face, and I knew she recognized it. The piece of cloth shook in Maya's hands. For a second, I thought she was going to drop it. Nobody said a word. Not me, not AJ, not anyone. We just waited. Finally, Maya looked up. "I told you." Her voice was barely above a whisper. "They found me. I wanted answers." Instead, I got silence. Then she pointed toward the forest, toward the same woods where AJ found her. "They're already here." Nobody wanted to believe her. I didn't either. But later that night, standing completely still, like they were waiting, like they knew we'd see them. The worst part? One of them stepped forward, raised a hand, and waved. The next morning, they were gone. Every one of them. No tracks, no camp, nothing. Like they'd never been there at all. But before they disappeared, they left us something. A message, carved into one of the trees outside Ericson. 3 words, "We found her." And for the first time in years, I was afraid.